Well, the Cowboys, with some additions they made in the offseason, both in the draft and the most recent trade that they just made, does this make them a contender for a playoff berth?
Let's talk football.
Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Round Sports Podcast, where sports are everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today we are talking about, unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I got on them a whole lot last year, of course, because I'm a hater of the Cowboys. And also the Niners, too, but only some fans more than others. But the Cowboys, the draft, they had an A plus according to Pro Football Focus. They assessed their offensive line need that they got Tyler Booker from the Alabama Crimson Tide and got a steal in round two with Donovan Akezaru and Siobhan Revel later on in round three. And then they got Jadon Blue from Texas, another good running back to pair behind Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders. I believe he could be a second string running back for the team. And then they got Shamar Thomas from Florida, linebacker. Then they got Johnny Cornelius from Oregon, tackle. And then they got Jay Tolia, and then another running back in Phil Mafia. And then also defensive lineman Tommy Batasti from Maryland. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. But recently, they went and got George Pickens in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers to add another receiver after letting go of Brandon Cooks. Into free agency. But the question is, does their new additions make the Cowboys a playoff contender with Brian Schottenheimer? Now, I'm going to talk about this more in just a second. Before we get started, though, if you guys do enjoy this video, please sure to do me a favor, smash the like button down below, subscribe if you haven't already. For now, let's get this thing started. First off, I want to actually applaud Jerry because he finally actually traded for a receiver. They, I believe, needed one in the draft. I believe they should have gone Emir Boca, but of course he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I will say this, though. I'm going to lay off on the hate for a while. I do like what the Cowboys did. I'm being for real honest here. No trolling this time. No trolling. I do like Tyler Booker because I talked about this man coming to Seattle, but I believe Gray Zabel was the right option for Seattle. But Donovan Akezaru, this was a man that was projected to go in the first round. Also along with Siobhan Revel. You guys did need some help in the corner category. But do I think you're ahead of the Eagles and Commanders? No.
Oh my! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Now you die.
Do I think you're ahead? You're right there with the New York Football Giants? Maybe. We know that the Cowboys are fighting for third place in the division. And we know that their upcoming schedule is not going to be easy. Well, we don't know their schedule yet, but we already know their opponents because their opponents have already been released. We're just waiting on the schedule release on May 14th, which is in 6 days from today. So all we're waiting on is who they're going to face each in the individual weeks. So their schedule is kind of relatively difficult, and it as is for every single opponent inside of the division. You got to go against not only teams in from the NFC North and AFC West that had 3 teams from each in the playoffs last year. At home, you have to face teams like the Packers that have owned you in Dallas as of recently, the Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, Kansas City, the Chargers, and also Arizona. And then you have to go on against the Lions, Bears, Broncos, and Raiders on the road. And then also along with the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets. But of course, we do not know the schedule terms yet. So, am I concerned for the Cowboys when it comes to this schedule? Yes. Am I concerned that their defense is going to still be that same defense that's been good? I'm not too concerned because we know Micah Parsons is still that man. And you add Donovan Akezaru to already add to that dangerous pass rush. I mean, personally, I'm saying this coming from a Seahawks fan, and I know this because he went to the Seattle Seahawks. I believe he's an upgrade over Jamarcus Lawrence. I mean, serious. I mean, for real serious. Now, do I think Jamarcus Lawrence is going to be the same form that he was when he was in his prime in Dallas, in Seattle? No. But I do know this: the Cowboys' defense is better. They got Matt Eberflus, who is just a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach, as I've said on a variety of occasions. He is a defensive coordinator at heart. And then not only that, you also made the addition of Shamar James from Florida, from the Gators, and then get two defensive linemen, one from Maryland and one from Maryland. Those are upgrades. Now, do I think you're ahead of Jaden Daniels and the Commanders? No. Do I think you're ahead of the Eagles and Jaden Daniels and the reigning Super Bowl MVP? Heck no. But I do know this. There is a chance that they could make the playoffs. There is a chance. Because if we look at some of their games, some of their home games are relatively, all their games are pretty difficult. If I have to say, if we count the Giants, that's two, because for some weird reason, the Cowboys have always had the Giants number. I do believe they can win against Arizona, even though I do believe they're rejuvenated. I still need to see them in order to believe them. I do believe they can get a win over the Chargers. I do believe they can get a win over the Raiders, Jets, and the Panthers. That is six already. I believe they could split with the Commanders. That's seven. I do believe there is a possibility that they could beat the Bears. So that's eight. Wait, yeah, not nine. Yeah, nine. My bad, not bad. And then if we count one of the games, I do believe they could beat Denver, so I'll add that as 10. So I'm not saying the Cowboys are like a Super Bowl contender or whatnot, because we all know they're not. But I do know this. There is a possibility they can make a playoff berth. There is a possibility. Because their schedule, they are going to have some difficult challenges. They all, of course, have to go against the reigning defending champions inside their division, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the team that was just in the NFC Championship game a season ago, the Commanders. And then you also have to face the Packers, that they've had your number in your stadium. And then you have to go against the defending AFC champion, the Chiefs. And then you have to go against the Broncos. I do believe the Broncos are going to be a whole lot better this upcoming season. I love the additions that they made. But I am going to be revisiting my predictions as well. I announced this a few times already, but I am going to be revisiting my division predictions. I made my division predictions already, but I'm going to revisit them once the schedule is officially released, so that way my picks are more accurate. So, but I do believe the Cowboys, there is a chance they can make the playoffs, but if they do, they're going to go one and done because Cowboys are just not on the same level as anyone else in the NFC right now. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Cowboys are a playoff contender with the new additions that they've made? Let me know in the comments what you guys think down below. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to do me a favor. Smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I will see you all in the next one. Ciao for now.